Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Metaworld News. This is the edition where we actually bring you the highlights for the week ending the 21st, you better believe it, of July 2019. We got all that bit right, didn't we?
Hmm.
Anyway, yes. Our focus here is virtual worlds news, really. We like to look at social virtual worlds and stuff, and also a bit about virtual reality hardware and stuff. Not to the extent of every headset that appears, but just general sort of feeling for haptic devices and software and things like that will affect the future of virtual worlds. Virtual worlds as opposed to virtual reality. Virtual reality has very much become a phrase that embodies more, I think, the hardware of 3D immersion rather than the content. Social virtual worlds, I guess they become where you think of them as things like Second Life was one of the earliest ones, and it's actually 16 years old now. That was, of course, before open source and the concept of the metaverse. Second Life itself, of course, is owned and run and still operated by Linden Lab. Um, but it basically user-created worlds where you can collaborate and enjoy yourself too. But really, you're in charge. Build a world around you and communicate with other people, as opposed to games or indeed just pre-authored worlds, which are sometimes fine in themselves. And if you like pussycats, I'll be mentioning that a bit later. However, I'm going to get on with those news headlines. First of all, I'll just say who I am. My name is Mal Burns. That's two words. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, you're going to have to squash me. Yes, give me a big hug and squash my two names together. Twitter.com/Malburns, Malburns, all one word. Yes, the squashing job. Also, we have Twitter.com/Metaworld News after this show. Again, the two words are squashed. Yep, we should really just call Twitter the squashing place, shouldn't we? Squashville. Yes. Squashville.com, me. Right. Okay, I'm joined here. I'm also by James Atloud, who's pressing lots of little buttons on the table here, which are different screen angles and stuff like that for our cameras. And he's got his own little monitors at the side there too. So doing a wonderful job on all that stuff and commenting now and again too. So welcome, James.
Well, thanks, Mel. I hope I'm somewhat competent at this stuff.
You ought to be. You've been doing it long enough.
A long time, that's right.
I'm sorry about that, but if you don't know what you're doing by now, you can go.
Right, right.
Okay, enough of that. Enough of that. You probably will because I'm being rude. Right.
Not at all.
I forgot where I am now. Yes, yes, indeed. So I'm going to read out the main headlines via my own Twitter feed, oddly enough. And one of the things James does is he's got a separate link to my desktop, so he can show you sort of what I'm reading out to you as we go along. So the first link I've got here from July 15th, earlier in the week, is to a site called vrfocus.com. That's VR, the letters, and then focus, FOCUS.com. All together, of course, VR Focus being all, a Twitter squash job, basically, except it's not Twitter, but that's beside the point. www.vrfocus.com. There you go. Right, this article what I think a lot of people who watch this summary and stuff were probably interested in this. Um, as I mentioned Second Life earlier, which of course is a corporate walled garden and totally different from the open metaverse which we have now. But the idea of these sort of worlds is, the do-it-yourself side of it. You end up with a flat piece of empty land, and you sculpt it into your own thing, and you make it your own, and then join it to the land that other people have done or whatever. Um, so a lot of people inhabit these worlds, as it were. Like I was very interested in authoring software that mostly, in the case of OpenSim and indeed the old Second Life platform, most of the tools for doing this stuff are actually built into the world's viewer. Although if you want to use more advanced stuff like mesh and some modern things, you do actually have to create them with offline tools and then upload them and import them into the world you've built. So many people in these worlds who are creating their own stuff are actually very interested in authoring software that allows them to create outside the world and maybe either bring it into the world or just create something different somewhere else. Um, so this item I have got up here at the moment. Sorry, I'm croaking a bit all of a sudden. That's not on, is it? I'm just going to scroll down a touch here. Not very good at getting an accurate scroll, but there we go. That will do. This is a company called Charles River Analytics, and they've released the software development kit. Well, not today, but earlier in the week, which allows you to build augmented reality and VR apps with an open source Virtuoso SDK. Um, Basically, they say there's a number of ways you can create your own, apps and games and things. The most popular tend to be video game engines such as Unity and the Unreal Engine, which have been fine-tuned over many years. Charles River Analytics is a developer of intelligent system solution, and they've announced the launch of Virtuoso software development kit. So it's SDK, but it's also the SDK in brackets, it says here. And this is to aid speedy development of AR and VR experiences. Um, it's actually a Unity-based solution, which figures, I suppose, and it's especially for developers who are looking to create naturalistic user interactions while supporting a wide variety of headsets like Vive, Rift, Quest. B Haptics, Tact Suit, Leap Motion, Manosphere gloves, and a whole load of other things. I'll just scroll down what we've got here. Um, Nothing really much I can read out that will enlighten you more. But if you're interested in that kind of thing, just go to vrfocus.com and you will actually find that article there earlier in the week. Okay, now this is a rather odd one actually, offbeat. This site is called etcanada.com. That's ETCANADA, and I don't think it has anything to do with ET the movie. It's just probably Entertainment Times or something like that. Anyway, if I do a bit of, I'm just going. No, I'm not going to. Okay, okay, it's WordPress altering. Anyway, right. Um, I don't know how many of you follow movies and SFX animation and stuff, but I did see some clips the other day of Disney's new version of The Lion King. It's actually less than a decade since they brought out the most recent Lion King, which was actually a cartoon, very typical Disney updated. But this one uses special effects and ultra realistic CGI. And, I'm very into felines, and so long as they're safely on the other side of the screen, I'm quite happy with lions. They really look so realistic. This is the uncanny valley, as they call it. I mean, it would be impossible for me to say at first glance whether the lions and stuff in this movie are live action real lions filmed and then dubbed, or whether it is actually animation. I do actually have a film, a few years old now, and I think it was produced by the BBC, and it's supposed to be a sort of lion's tale. Um, but actually, although it's narrated by famous actors, plural actually, and stuff about it's about a baby cub and he grows up and everything goes in a cycle and then he has his own cub and it ends. Um, but it was absolute crap. It was very fun to watch, but I mean, I just wanted to turn the sound off and watch the nice pictures that they filmed of, David Attenborough style, and or maybe listen to it without pictures and hear a little dramatized story. But the two together did not gel. It's like a badly made comic book where the pictures are saying the same as the words, and actually the script writer and the artist are both crap. It's just, it didn't work. Whereas this is just the opposite. It's a fictional story, The Lion King, and it's Disney all over in the feel of it. But you would think you were watching a live action movie. It's as simple as that. So anyway, this post is simply a post to etcanada.com. And 12th of July, the director of The Lion King, John Favreau, is sort of talking about the about making The Lion King. A new remake of The Lion King is a huge feat of special effects, and he's interviewed by somebody called Jimmy Kimmel. Presumably this is Canadian TV, and as you can see, it's a YouTube clip, which is the principal part of the interview. But if you're interested in, CGI type virtuality, then you know, you want to hear more about this. To be honest, don't follow the links to the related. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry to attend European premiere of The Lion King with Beyonce. Gosh golly,
Golly.
that is just not of interest
Yeah,
whatsoever. Thank
yeah.
you. The Lion King, the movie, I think is. Um, let's just
Jimmy
see.
Kimmel's a United States late night talk show host.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, oh,
So your link is
okay.
auto
So
playing. Yep.
no,
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'm actually playing a little bit for you. But they look pretty real, don't they?
Oh, yep.
Look at him, lovely. Oh, sorry, I'll be drooling all day if I stay here. Anyway, that's it. EC Canada. Put it
No,
away
they
before
they
I
do they
get.
do look good. They look very good. Yep.
Yeah, they're very nice indeed. I thought. Right. So this next one. How virtual reality can improve spatial ability. You'll find this is the link to this is pcquest.com. So that's PC as in politically correct, or possibly your personal computer, whichever one you want, really. And then Quest as in Quest. PCQUEST.com. And July 12th, again, this is a bit earlier in the week. Um, this is more a sort of what virtuality is useful for kind of article. Quite a lot of information to read there. Shortish article, but not throwaway if you see what I mean. And yeah, basically how your spatial ability can be improved with virtuality. Um, so it's interesting. There are lots of odd articles that appear from time to time here. Like they're not talking about improvements in virtuality. They're actually talking about how virtuality can improve aspects of your real self. And in this case, spatial ability is just having a spatial awareness really is all it's about. But anyway, they categorize it learning by doing, what are real experiences, etc., etc. So read more about that at pcquest.com and look for the article dated July 12th, which is a few days ago now. Moving on again. Right. Now we're on a familiar site here, the Virtual Reality Times. That is three words with a squash job. So virtual reality times three long words squashed together.com. And this article, a bit more up to date here, the 17th of July. Virtual reality architecture, design, and collaboration platform The Wild releases Quest support. Um, this is really just a news item. Um, The Wild is a collaboration thing, which they talk about here, a VR collaboration platform for architecture and design teams. Very specific, but I guess we do report that Oculus Quest and a lot of these headsets, actually gaining traction less in the consumer field, but in the enterprise field. So obviously, when you take architects and designers like that, it's no surprise that they would want to be using these. You know, uh, Architects have used headsets ever since they've been around. I think, just as they do CAD work and then put it up online as a walkthrough. Obviously, if you can walk through a prospective house you're going to buy or a building you're going to commission, then you get a better feel for it. And now we've got headsets that allow you to walk through the whole 3D environment, even if you're just using arrow keys on your desktop. It's even more compelling sort of sales tactics for the architects. Um, so this is actually nothing new. I mean, what seems to be new here is that this collaboration platform called the Wild is actually it's not only just a headset based thing, but it's also collaboration software. Whereby I don't know, maybe two architects are working together on the project, and they can also collaborate online while they're designing it with the contractor that's going to build the thing, and maybe the contractors that are going to decorate the thing. The whole works, and do it in very much like we do this TV program where we're sitting in a virtual reality room, and we may look like cartoons on screen, but in fact we our human selves can make our avatar stand up and walk around, and I can go off and do building and stuff, and you can watch me. The only thing you can't really do these days is smell me, and apparently they're working on that, but you can count yourself lucky for the time being. Right. Anyway, back to that particular post. You'll find it at virtual reality times, three words and squashed together, .com, and it tells you all about the wild. I must admit, actually, when I read this first, I heard the wild. I thought it was a game because it's got the name, the wild. It sounds like it's an experience or game of some sort, but it's actually the name of a piece of software that's basically modern day CAD.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Right, VR focus yet again. Digital Catapult's Augmentor program returns to help early stage VR AR companies. Applications are now open. Again, this is sort of all technical stuff here, really. Find out more at VR Focus, all one word. In other words, VR the letters, then focus.com. And when was this? 17th of July, too. So, again, a couple of days ago now. Um, Digital Catapult. Let me start again there. I've got cats on the mind, haven't I?
Mm.
This is Catapult. Right. Digital Catapult, a UK based digital technology innovation centre, runs initiatives like the Creative XR programme with the Arts Council of England, and has announced the launch of a 12-week accelerator programme called Augmenta. It's supporting early stage immersive virtual reality and augmented reality companies, and applications are now open. So you do actually have to be a company working in the field to apply for this 12-week sort of booster program to help you get stuff off the ground. If you do want to read the article here, or I think, yeah, applications are open until 6th of December. Right, you need to go to, let's just click on this for you. It's, oh, yeah, well, that's not helpful, is it? For me. Augmenta, um, okay. Augmenta, that's the spelling you see in front of you there, and it's .co.uk. So that's where you will go if you're interested. All right, let's put that away. That's a bit of a speciality kind of thing there. Sorry, I got all. It's that time of day when the pop-ups start to arrive, whether I want them or not. Very good. Go, go. Thank you. Right. Okay, next article is we're still at vrfocus.com. VR Focus have been doing quite well for us this week by the look of it. Right, NVIDIA, they who make those wonderful graphics cards, and including all the new ones that handle ray tracing and stuff in real time. Great stuff. They're going to be demoing their RTX variable state shading, among other technology, at the SIGGRAPH conference, which is SIGGRAPH 2019. Basically, the future of VR visuals. It starts in just over a week, which basically means it starts tomorrow. Okay, by my timing, I think. Um, I forget actually where I think this changes. I think this changes venues each year, doesn't it? I'm not
Mm.
entirely sure. Um, they got an immersive pavilion VR theatre showcasing four of the world premieres, including Disney's Kite's Tale, and NVIDIA will be demonstrating their latest tech. And sorry, it looks like okay.
Los
I don't know
Angeles.
this.
Yeah.
It is oh
It's
wonderful,
Los
right?
Angeles.
That
Yep.
you can read my mind. Here I was trying to find the place it's being held. Okay, so SIGGRAPH is in Los Angeles this year, if not every year. I'm not quite
Pretty
sure.
often, I
It's a
think.
regular
Yeah.
annual event, though.
Yep.
It is a major. It's always been around a long time. It's a major sort of trade events. So if you're watching the blogs and stuff this coming week, I think we can probably expect a few press releases from NVIDIA. Obviously, next weekend we will bring you any news from that news, if you see what I mean. That is of relevance. Put
Hmm.
NVIDIA away, and we're back on VR times, or I should say, virtual reality times. Threesquashwords.com. No, not three squashed words. Wouldn't that be a great website?
I think
www.threesquashedwords.com.
I think you need that. That could be your blog site about grammar in URLs.
Yeah. I like the sound of it too. It's got quite a ring, you know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not so the three squash words doesn't sort of fall together a bit. But in the case of these three squash words, we're talking about virtualrealitytimes.com, known by its masthead here as VR Times. And talking about Facebook, help. Right, Facebook has developed a haptic VR AR wristband prototype. Now, it's common knowledge that Facebook are trying to rule the world, and quite naturally, they want to rule and have exclusive control over our virtual reality enterprises. Their Facebook Reality Labs, of course, is working on all sorts of stuff that ties in with that. They have a PhD intern from Rice University who's developed a haptic device known as TASP. Yes, it's a TASP. It it looks like my Apple Watch, except it's more oblong. And actually, I rather wish my Apple Watch was more oblong
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
the square is not a good display device. It needs to be more of a widescreen thing. So that at least looks right. But I think this is, I don't think that's such a screen. I think it's more like a Leap Motion kind of thing where the what looks like a watch face is actually contains some of the sensors, and from the look of that watch strap,
Are you looking at an
there's a lot.
image?
Oh yes, I am. Let me
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, sorry. There we are. From the look of this strap and stuff like that, you can imagine the sensors in there too. So designed as a haptic device, presumably it's got lots of things in there.
Mm. Hmm.
Okay, they were revealed at the World Haptics Conference this year. Doesn't say when. They're a set of small boxes which are all linked through the central band. There's a single large box centered to appear like an oversized smartwatch, which houses the haptic actuator. Then there are the small boxes, each of which contains its own linear actuator, which can precisely send vibrations whilst also dynamically adjusting the tension from various places on the wearer's wrist.
Hmm.
It can collectively provide vibration cues along with squeeze cues. Oh dear. Based on digitally generated or virtual content that the user will be interacting with. Okay, I'm not going to read it all out for you. If you want to go to virtualrealitytimes.com, threesquashwords.com, um, you can find out more about it. Um, Sounds like a useful piece of kit, but maybe something like the Motion was, but I can't see if the description of this just makes it sound like a haptic device that will work on the hand. And however good it is and however multiple sensors there are in it, you can stick your hand through the screen and interact with objects. But it's another of these gadgets. It's only a small part of a big equation. That really, when I think of it, a pair of gloves and a lycra bodysuit and a visor, which is attached to something like a phone for processing, is going to be more convenient than endless amounts of this hardware stuff. It needs to be an integrated solution. Otherwise, we're going to end up continually talking about VR, the technology side of it, as novelty. It's got to start somewhere. But I imagine for somebody who knows nothing about VR, trying to catch up on this, they think, oh, isn't those things you put on your head that allow you to see in 360? Can I watch my films close up and things like that? And if they hear about these wristbands and things, they think more like, oh, that's a smartwatch. Will it answer my phone for me? They don't, the public psyche does not associate all these endless pieces of supplementary hardware as part of an overall concept that is going to change things. So, um, how many of these different haptic devices can we get and will we need? I mean, if you're going to use virtual reality and it's going to be ubiquitous, then it's got to be like a computer where you've got a screen and a mouse and a keyboard. And every computer comes with a mouse, keyboard, and screen. Sure, some of the screens are touchscreen now. Some of them can do without the keyboard and give you a virtual keyboard. Some can do without the mouse if they're touchscreen. But the principal idea is those are the key components for interfacing. And if you get rid of the mouse and keyboard and rely on touchscreens, so much the better because it's an extension of what you had already, what you used to. Um, am I going to join, some ubiquitous virtual reality global community where I don't know what I need to put on my head. I don't know what I need to put on my feet. I don't know what goes on my body, and for that matter, I don't know what platform I should be using to access things. It's all just crazily up in the air here. No interoperability, no cooperation between the things. So anyway, I'm getting down the rabbit hole. James has forgotten to remind me to
No,
pull
no,
me out.
it's all right.
Pull me out, James. Pull me out. There's a bit of rabbit hole there, and of course, when I see products that have been developed by Facebook, I do get a bit more irritable than normal. So there we go. If you want more about that, do check out Virtual Reality Times, and I'll try and move on to something else that requires less of a rant. Okay, oh God. I thought I crashed for a minute.
Mm, nope,
It's a Mac. It has
still
a
good.
it has if you click on a certain point, it turns the screen off, doesn't it? I
Oh,
accidentally turned my screen off. Right, VR times again. So no change of site if you're already there while you're listening to me. Virtualitytimes.com, three Scotch words. CAT sensors provide complete wearable VR locomotion system. Well, I might as well apply the previous rant to this too, for that matter, except that we had something similar to this last week, actually, although I don't think it was this. Um, Virtual reality controllers, headsets easily track hand and head movements. The last terrain that's difficult is foot tracking. The game's hardware company called KAT is solving that by creating a virtual reality locomotion system designed to offer computers a wearable locomotion system that will allow them to walk in virtual reality devices by attaching sensors to their ankles and hips that transmit data back to the VR game. Another rant is about that journalist. Has he never heard of a full stop? And you
right.
probably gathered that. You probably gathered that from the way I was reading it. Right. Okay. Anyway, go Virtuality Times to find out more about this. It is yes again kind of more haptics. Let's we'll endeavour to give you a tiny little glimpse of what's going on by scrolling down to this picture here. That's the wearable for VR locomotion, and this chap is well, it looks like he's um, dancing on the spot, really, doing his doing. This is the sort of thing I have to do, climbing up 5 flights of stairs every day. So he's
Mm-hmm.
doing it on the spot. Um, Very odd. I mean, his feet don't really look like they're moving forward on the pad. Yet he's seemingly moving forward in the visuals. Um, Hard to say. That I tend to think of what do I call them? Not track pads. The foot. Oh, help me, James. What's
I
the name?
don't.
treadmill. That's the word I'm
Oh,
looking
okay.
for.
Yep. Yep.
Where your feet are actually walking forward, back, and sideways, and the thing on the floor is staying in place. But so you are staying in place physically, but you are actually moving relatively on the treadmill, and he doesn't seem to be doing that here. He seems to be stomping up and down by himself, presumably cueing the thing to move forward. If he turns around, maybe he goes backwards. I don't know, but it's not really helping us. Same thing here. He's not really doing that much with his feet, except posing. I can't see the correlation between what his feet are doing and the actual movement in the 360 location. But anyway, they got another little publicity one there, saying three copies of the same girl in different poses, wearing their bits.
Hmm.
Ah. So, live on, more bits, please. Right. Until next week, that's virtualagitize.com. Three Scotch worlds and their ubiquitous bits. Oh, sorry. I'm in the mood today, aren't I,
Mm.
James? Right. Now, that's the end of the main feed. Well, almost the end of the main feed. I'll explain that in a second. We've got one from the Metaworld news feed, which is from our friends at hypergridbusiness.com. Maria has published all the stats up this month on OpenSyn grids. Basically, that is a post about all the other posts. She's got all her stats up on land area, registered users, active users, the stuff she used to read out for an hour or so a week on this program, actually. But as you can see, you can just go here and you can get it all as graphs and uh, information. A lot of what's here was actually issued as separate um, posts during the last week or so. For example, you've got 25 worlds listed there as the most popular ones. But there is another page she has up, which I think links all 200 most popular, for example, so a bit more extensive. Um, Even the private grid that we filmed this show on was actually listed somewhere in the top 250.
Oh,
Obviously some stat is indicating we're online, even though we're not a
I
publicly
wonder what
open
that is.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moonlight Grid has suspended
Well,
operations, for example.
this
Yeah.
region isn't the only region on this grid. Is that correct?
Well, no, yeah, no. This is basically this whole grid is one region. It's known as the VAR region, which means it's a size of 25
Hmm.
standard regions, but they are actually all one region. There are no other regions on this grid.
Okay.
So, in fact, this region is called Metaworld Core, if I remember rightly.
Hmm.
Whereas the grid is called Metaworld
Okay.
at outworlds.com. But yeah, actually, to be honest, people can pop in here if they want to. I mean, I haven't locked the gate, so people are wandering by and want to look around or do stuff, fine. But normally, the only people that come in here are people like you who I invite in for shows and
Yep.
stuff,
Yep.
or to come and play with me privately. Would you like to visit my estate sometime? Come over for the weekend. What? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, so that kind of thing. Yeah. And I'm an island, of course. I'm not connected by land to anything else. So people don't actually walk in. They do actually have to hypergrid over from somewhere of their own choosing with their own avatar,
Hmm.
because I don't provide avatars. Yeah. Slightly different from a commercial or not even non-commercial public grid. It's very much it's my island attached to the hypergrid. And it's also our TV series. So whatever. Right. Okay. So anyway, do check out Hypergrid Business for more of that. I have incidentally been talking to Maria, well, just by email recently. She's actually, I mean, she doesn't want to come back so much on this show, but she is interested in doing something. She doesn't quite know what at the moment, TV wise. But probably something that would actually feature VR technology and yeah, a much wider berth of things rather than just OpenSim and the hypergrid. And for much more extended audience too, really. But we will see. She will obviously keep me informed on that, and I'll be trading ideas with her if something has come along. Okay, so that, as such, is the end of the main feeds. So I'm now going to come to my last item, which is my Twitter.com feed. I just love this. Over in that ancient world that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Second Life, my avatar, unless I have to go in there and appear as a humanoid type avatar, my default avatar is a pussycat. It runs around at some considerable speed. It's made of mesh. It's very lightweight, and it's got a few cute animations to, so if I'm not doing anything, I can just sit there and wash myself, as we cats tend to do, and yeah, and then I can go running around at high speed if I want to. There are a few drawbacks, of course. I do frequently get trodden on because nobody can see me. But then again, that's one of the pros too, because I can surreptitiously sort of plonk myself in any region, and unless people are searching for name tags, they can't really see me, so I can be there relatively unnoticed. Plus, if I'm visiting something like historical recreations or whatever, or outer space, for example, role play situations that may or may not be quite serious role plays. There's for example there's ancient Rome, I can visit in Second Life. And everybody who lives in those regions is actually role playing. They might be servants, they might be, toga wearing senators, whatever. But all the people there are role playing, but they're doing a very strict role play, so that if you come in as a visitor, you not only see a recreation of Roman Empire type Rome or whatever, where I think Rome, for example, but you also see all the levels of society going about their daily work. So it's a totally immersive experience. Not just, you don't just walk around it like a deserted villa. You see the staff and everybody working that villa, because the people who've chosen to live there are role playing constantly for your, education. So it's a serious venture. It's a serious educational thing. But, like some of the other role play and, particular regions, they insist they give you a costume and they want you to wear it before you come in. And often certain types of, like the tinies, like little dwarf-like characters have their own regions, and they don't allow full-size people in. And before I go down the rabbit hole, the point of what I'm saying here is actually my pussycat can go anywhere. He can be a cat, a spaceship's cat. He can be a cat in the Roman villa. He can be a cat at the dawn of time when cats ruled and humans were just a figment of the imagination. So I love my pussycat. So I was obviously perked up when I read about Peace Island. Now, Peace Island doesn't exist yet. It's still in the it's moved from sort of pre-beta stages and stuff. It's the brainchild of a chap called Eric Blumrich, and it's set on a remote Maine island. The basic concept is a mix of science fiction, alternative history, and mystery, with a storyline that involves nine cats waking up to find their human companions have strangely disappeared. So it's a sort of mystery kind of come game thing. Um, it's not even in any kind of open beta yet, though. It does. They do make it sound. Uh, if the human race suddenly vanished off the face of the earth, cats will probably do a lot better than dogs. This is what happens in Peace Island.
Hmm.
Okay, it's a Kickstarter crowdfunding project which launched last summer, and it has raised about over $13,000 from about 350 backers. Um, and yeah, not the easiest task. So Blumrich has been working another full-time job to support his efforts. Blumrich is continually updating backers, and although the beta is yet to appear, the project's popularity has soared. Soared, as in soared up to the heights. And he's been getting emails from Amazon and Xbox and various people who are wanting a piece of the action, which is not surprising from the look of it. They've got a Patreon page and whatever else. And they now report that the feedback is so responsive that Bloomrich is now quitting that day job to work full time on Peace Island. And there's a few little things there that pictures and tells you a little bit more about it. Most importantly, I think, is it's a non-violent, interactive story which focuses on discovery, atmosphere, and exploration rather than combat. So, pussycat or not, there will be no cat fights at this location, I
Ah,
presume. What I do like is the line here that says the player will have the opportunity to experience multiple divergent storylines as they approach the ultimate decision. Now, what do you think the ultimate decision might be? Well, here's the question. Are those pesky humans worth bringing back?
mm-hmm.
And with that, I would leave you to decide. So, that's it for now. And James and I are just going to sort of talk a little bit about something. But I'm going to play us on our screen share thing. I'm sure James will show a bit of us too. But I'm going to leave this 5 minute film, which is just a walkthrough of Peace Island's main region, complete with a pussycat in camera that moves just like my Second Life self. It is gorgeous. I want to watch it all day long. So let's get on with it. Here it is. It's sort of running away. So, with that on screen, that's it for this week's news. So, James, any thoughts on Pussycats or the other stuff that went before it?
Well, did you say that this? Do you know what platform this demo's filled in? Filmed in? Was this Second Life? Did you say?
No, no,
Oh, okay.
it doesn't actually
You're talking about
say.
your avatar in Second Life, but this doesn't say
Yeah,
what the platform is. Okay.
no, it doesn't at all.
All right.
The uh, the um, the page I'm playing now has got a bit of text at YouTube saying we achieved beta level frame rates over the entirety of the island today, and we celebrated by shooting a run around the main interior roads. Um, the movement of that lovely little creature is very much like the movement of my Pussycat in Second Life. Obviously, to move mine in Second Life, I have to push the forward, the arrow keys basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a slightly more realistic look at the way it wiggles its ass. Yeah. Whoever filmed the camera here, the camera seems to slip into the surrounding vegetation a bit like the camera in Second Life. So when I saw this, I could easily have believed that that had been filmed in a recent version of Second Life,
Mm-hmm.
with a fully, good a viewer with all its shadows on and everything else. Um, Looking at it now, I actually suspect it's probably built in Unity or um, uh, possibly Unreal. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know the look of it. I just love the look of it actually because it's close enough to like the Second Life environment that we've been used to for 15 years, and with some of the richness of the mesh type environments um, that we're more modern ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's no obvious way from this walkthrough of really taking the two apart. I mean, the bricks, the stone walls here. I mean, I've got them in our broadcast region here, and they're mesh. But equally, I have seen them over in Second Life and places where they've been textured prims. Um, I suspect most of what we're seeing around here is actually mesh based. Um, where the avatar is an animated mesh, I don't know. I think you have to play the part of one of the five cats,
Mm-hmm.
or the nine cats as it is at the moment, and you just thought, yeah. I think the thing that I find so seductive is just that sense of movement. I get this in
Mm-hmm.
Second Life too. I just wish I was a cat. If I had a body that moved like this, I don't, not just because they're warm and furry and nice little friends, but the way their bodies move. I mean, to feel, it's a bit of role play for me. I think
Mm.
just imagining I live in a cat's body.
Okay.
The athleticism and the almost choreographed dancing that it performs is just. What we're looking at now, for example, is just the back end of a cat bobbing up and down, but it's exactly like a cat would be moving in a terrain that is like some terrain somewhere, and wouldn't wouldn't you just prefer to walk down the street behaving like that at that kind of natural speed rather than having to get dressed and go out and look good and plod along in shoes and well, I don't know. There's just something
I,
about it.
I can hear what you're
Um,
saying. I can't say that would be my choice, but
no, yeah,
but
so
I
sort
see
of
what you're
I think
saying. Right.
I'm a felinist or something.
Right.
See there, we
Right.
change you to a girl, not that I can tell. The visuals on this are great too, though. Like, I mean, this bit, I think we're nearing the end now. We moved into a bit where we've got sunset and stuff like that. So, I mean, Abo's been open sim, and indeed, Second Life. You've got wind lights, you've got times of day, and the light of the environment can change. Um, these days, you get the lighting, like a sunset or whatever, time of day can change as you move locations, or it can change like the real world when you're still in a given location. Um, and of course, in Open Sim, we have things like wind light, well, Second Life 2, which allows you, when you're building, to customize skies and colors to a great degree anyway. Okay,
Yep.
so there we are. That's that. So we will. I thought we could talk, or I could talk, of course, over that.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. No, it's very interesting.
So we can, yes, I know. It's nice when you come across something you can just sort of project to the viewers that is totally meaningless, that gives some accompaniment to our talking. But anything else that struck you in any of that sort of news? I guess lots of it was just more haptical
Right. Right.
sort of things like gloves and footwear and wristbands and whatever.
Yeah, I
And
think I can understand your cynicism about especially that ankle walking system.
yeah,
Just that it's not a an immediately immersive type of thing, and I think that's just the case with so much of VR right now is that it just because of the state of the art, it has to be a
ah,
compromise. It has to be, well, we can't do it quite realistically, but we can come close, and I think that'll be the state of this industry for a while.
something occurred to me.
Hmm.
Actually, it occurred to me earlier, though I'd forgotten when I was actually looking at that article just now. Is that it's the thing of making use of things we've already got. We've you've got your mouse and your keyboard, and some mice, have got two or three buttons and wheels, and you've got space navigators and all sorts of things,
Hmm.
simpler or whatever. And we've all got it's almost ubiquitous now to have a microphone and a webcam and stuff like that. But back in, well, of course, we've got joypads, haven't we, for games and stuff like that. But going back to the early days of, I suppose, word processing, although actually it goes back to dictation machines. Typists used to not only have keyboards, but they used to have footpads.
Hmm.
And it's something that occurred to me that, like, those old footpads that used to just be under your desk where you rested your feet on, you can sort of press them down. I'm imagining myself doing it now. I actually am doing it with a non existent footpad. And I can actually just press down left, right, like I would be walking. And it occurs to me that some of those, maybe those old footpads could be plugged in again and drivers rewritten to emulate walking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it would certainly allow you to feel like you're walking when you're sitting down, and even but the footpads themselves will actually keep you on the spot. The poor guy in that thing we were looking at, I don't know whether how comfortable he was or not, but I would not be. Well, I wouldn't be comfortable in the headset anyway.
In the
I'd be
first
falling
place,
over.
right?
I'd be falling. I do get dizzy and would be falling over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if I knew I was in a big room and wasn't going to hit anything, I would get a bit of that. I get vertigo, for example.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's that kind of thing. Um, but if I was in that, immersed in the environment, there's something about the way he was sort of treading his feet on the spot, and because the movement of my real legs would not feel like walking.
Right.
So there'd be a disconnect between the movement in the immersion, on what I was actually doing. And I rather think that to be successful, these haptic devices have to plug into or plug onto the way we work, our bodies perform naturally. It's possibly why I'm not that keen on the headsets because they feed, so you're carrying a weight on your head that you're not used to naturally, and the you're reliant on being in that heavy, less heavy but still heavy, enclosure. Whereas if you've got things on your wrist and you can move your wrist as you normally would, if you've got a visor over your eyes like you would normally move with reading glasses on, if you've got, the processing been done by a phone in your pocket, which is a pretty ubiquitous state of affairs these days, um, then all that can happen by adding things that don't impede the way we behave normally. And I don't think anything that impedes the way we behave normally is really going to take off. Which is why I'm a fan of devices, not the headsets. I mean, think of the way mobile phones took off. I mean, people who've never had computers, let alone been in virtual worlds, it became the new big thing. I mean, back in the day, we were talking about the metaverse as being the new big thing, like 3D worlds on your screen. This is long before headsets or anything else. It's just a place to go, be with people, and interact with them in 3D on a flat screen. And we thought all this was great, but the technology that took off at the same time was the last leg, as it were, the mobile phone revolution. Because people who didn't even use computers were picking up mobile phones. Mobile phones, in fact, became powerful enough to be computers if they weren't always weren't, and they're mobile. They fit in your pocket. They don't impede your ability to go around doing things in life that you always did. You've always had that pocket that you put the phone in. You've probably been wearing headphones to listen to music for the last 30 years. So, those little in-ear earbuds or whatever are nothing new to you. They sure you probably don't want to wear them if you're trying to listen to something going on like dangerous traffic or something at the same time. But the things that are successful are the things that don't impede the way we go think about things normally. So I'm beginning to think every time I go down the rabbit hole on these things. You are quite right. Something comes along and it sounds great, and oh, that's going to be all fancy or whatever. But the moment I actually start considering, I think that's really going to impede the way I go about life. And there's a discomfort in that, if you see what I mean.
I do. Yep.
Uh,
But I also
uh,
recognize, there's that if you take that video, if that fellow wants to play that game in VR and he wants to use both hands to do something else, he's going to need another device to move. So in the
he
interim,
is, yeah.
someone's made these little ankle bracelets to accommodate his use purpose.
Yeah. I think he looked more like he was being paid to be filmed. Doing it rather than actually particularly enjoying himself doing anything. But there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's, there are things that, I mean, you can argue that a motor car, right, was an invention that impeded us because it impeded our ability to walk or move our physical body around whilst we were getting from A to B. But sure, it went faster and faster and faster. And they built roads to accommodate them,
Hmm.
and it helped destroy the planet by you know using up fossil fuels
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. But so whether it should have been invented is another matter. But it was, and it's like atomic bombs; they're not going to go away anytime soon
Mm.
because they've already exist. Um, which is the sort of point, but you live with it. And, so presumably there are things that will impede what we consider our natural way of life at the moment that will be so useful we won't ignore them. And I think the motor car is a good example. It's from another age. It's a different type of impeding, if you see what I mean.
Right.
But the concept of getting in a car to drive it from one place to another would have been an example of pretty comprehensive immersion for the first motor car drivers.
Hmm.
They would be disassociating themselves with their body in the sense of walking, and they'd be moving into the, people that get in the car to drive somewhere now or as a passenger are so used to sitting in a seat and it moving, we don't think anything of it anymore. But when it began, the very sensation of moving along a road without using your feet must have felt pretty damn weird.
Mm-hmm. Frightening even.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, just as scary as virtual worlds people go through at the moment and run
Mm-hmm.
away in a panic
Mm-hmm.
when they realise there's somebody else there. Yeah, so I sometimes find it useful to put myself in the frame of mind of, something like, because you took out 120, 130 years ago since they invented, consumer motor vehicles. And, it really must have been quite a thing,
Yeah.
to quite a novel, your first ever ride in a motor vehicle when they weren't common either, sort of, hey, but the sort of world's moving without me, shit, lock me out, I don't like this place.
Hmm.
I want to be back on my feet,
Right.
So yeah, we do adapt, but I think the impeding thinking is I don't want to lose anything, any tactile ability or anything like that by the progress and the new toys. I mean, technically, um, we're so used to motor cars, they get us from places to places quick and stuff like that, public transport even. Um, and because when we get out, we're still walking. We're not actually, we're not cutting ourselves off totally from what comes natural or impeding ourselves. But I think, I don't know. It's a difficult thing, but I'm sure this is a lot to do with why, we've said it in different ways actually in the past. But, this is why there's not a massive consumer take up of things like virtual reality headgear
Mm-hmm.
because it's headgear. You have it on, you may be able to see in virtuality, you may be able to hear in virtuality, get a better sense of space and movement and everything else. But at the end of the day, you're blind to the real world. You've also probably muted to the real world. You are your interaction with the real world is impeded by the fact that you've switched to the virtual world.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
Maybe less so with augmented reality, but maybe that's why if you only go put it on for 20 minutes, you don't really want one in your living room. Better to have the big screen TV and then that sitting on a seat watching TV probably impedes you as much as motor car. Come to think of it, but you get the gist. You can see I've got one of those minds that flies around from one thing to another while I'm talking.
Oh yeah.
Are there any viewers out there? Have you got any questions for me, or
Nope.
do you just want me to shut up?
No. 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 But we're
Nobody live,
we're
but
we're creeping up on an hour, so I think we've
yeah,
done
and
well.
nobody's watching us live, so they
Right.
rarely do anyway, don't they? But I'm sure they'll. If you watch this during the week and have any comments about my comments, then comment away.
Right.
You can email me at info at inworldreview.com. We'll get you there. If you haven't got any other email address for me or a Discord or we do have a Hypergrid Explorers creators channel on Discord. We've got about 300 of you in that these days, and it's growing. With by far the biggest Discord channel for independent metaverse. Um, Let me see. We don't. We have a Slack, but that's not public.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you've got all those Twitter feeds I mentioned earlier: twitter.com/malburns, twitter.com/metaworld news, and there's even a twitter.com/malburns space writer, which is devoted to Second Life arts and communications. It's still there. It's still there. And
Yep.
quite a lot in it too. And what else? What else? I'm on Facebook, but there's not much metaverse stuff there. Um, yep, Discord is probably a good place for both contact and discussion and posting
Indeed.
news. Indeed. So that's about it.
Yep.
And it's about it for James too, I gather. So
Yep.
it's goodbye from him.
Ah, and it's goodbye from him.
So it's goodbye from the two of us, which figures, doesn't it? So until same time, same place next week, have a good one.